The day that they lower my coffin, lower to my grave, is the day that I stop learning. So this whole notion of lifelong learning really comes out. And Frank said, I am willing to learn with you as students. And the students, one of the things that was so nice about teaching the class is we got to read their journals and their letters that they wrote. What is evoked at these sites? What comes out? It's powerful stuff. Something it seems like it has nothing to do with the site itself. They're healing sites to a large. There's reasons why these sites are there. And moreover, the sites that we have in Montana, in Alberta, in Saskatchewan, what is left is just about less than a quarter of what was once there. These sites are endangered. They're not just Blackfoot sites now. If we're going to be working together on a knowledge base, then they become our sites. Andy Blackwater uses this phrase. We are anchored by the same TP peg, our people and your people, because we're not going away and you're not going away. We might as well work together. So the whole effort now is to try and bring an awareness of the importance of these sites and what they hold. One of the people that we use in our readings is psychiatrist, anthropologist, Keith Bosson. Wisdom sits in places. And we use him as an example of somebody that finally got it after 20 years of working with the Apache. In his story, he was trying to get accepted by the Apache, and he didn't want to make a mistake. Because if he made a mistake, if he goofed up big time, he thought he couldn't research and work with these people. And it was just one mistake after another. And it was those mistakes that, the people he wanted to work with, he entertained them. And he got accepted by those mistakes, and he was able to do that work. But that first paper he did was Wisdom Sits in Places, was to the Academy that we have been approaching it all wrong. In anthropology, we have not been paying attention to the language, to the stories, to the ceremonies, to the songs. Because in these places is a repository of the knowledge that has been accumulated by our people. Daryl Kipp says, people with common sense, people that are reasonable, would not go to the library and the archives here and burn them down, because in there is the storage of knowledge. Well, that's what these places are. And where is, if somebody says, if we just use this second language that I have, this is my second language, so every once in a while I'll murder it. I don't mind murdering it because I know if you try to speak Blackfoot, I know what you do to it. And I don't have to be grammatically correct. That's what I like. So we're in a very unique position, I'm talking about a paradigm, or as John Murray says, paradigm. A paradigm that has not been explored about these sites. Where are they? If you approach it from this language, you'll want to measure, quantify, and give empirical evidence that there's somebody knows about these places. Well, they're stored. They're stored in our ceremonies that are continuing. It's how we extrapolate that. Now we can start. Well, we've been starting, and those of us that speak the language, it suggests the one that nurtures us, that gives us sustenance. Our ecology, our nourishment. When we talk about our land, it's not geography. It's not a mathematical set of numbers put on the land. It's about place. And so we were just with Al Gore, your real president from 2 terms ago. He was in Montreal, and we got asked to apply. We got asked to attend, but people had to apply. And so he gave us a workshop on how to show his slide presentation from An Inconvenient Truth. And one of the things that was missed in that presentation that Ryan and I talked about is this whole notion of making amends to the land. How can you make amends for the land if there is no relationship to it? For the Blackfeet, the mother is very important. Somebody talked about the role of the life giver, and that is what our land is. And this is Waterton Lakes National Park, and this is a very, very special place. We're going back to them more and more, not just for picnics and all that. Our people continue. This is a national park, and we get, whatever we need from that place. And it's not restricted to the national park. But Ryan and Adrian opened their bundle. That's where our beaver bundle was given to us, at this place. And now we're going back there to open our bundles again. This is where we traded with the Kootenai and the Salish. They came over and they traded there. There's much that goes on over there. And again, this was a nice day. We didn't get the winds that we get from Browning. We don't get this kind of day, and I was there just at the right time where the water was just still, and I was able to take a picture. So that's what we're going to talk about, mosquitoes.
Again, relationship. Knowledge and relationship is just indivisible. And when we talk about Kitawaksin, a lot of that relationship is defined in Atsimuiskan in prayer. And so it's almost, this presentation is almost like Atsimuiskan. And the way we usually open, you heard Narcissus this morning, this is the old man, the sun, the source of our life. The old woman, the moon, the sun and the moon are our archetypes for men and women. The morning star, that is the child of the sun and the moon, and Achtsipisoas, mistaken for morning star. We have a story about Bawakski, Scarface, a man who went in search of the home of the sun, and this is where our first sweat came from, when he befriended the Ipisoas. The sun, they made a sweat for the sun, and they were brought in, and the moon sat outside. And when they were in the sweat, Ipisoas Bawakski had a big scar on his face, kind of a puffy thing. And as the sweat went those 4 rounds, his scar disappeared little by little. And every time the door would open, the sun would ask the moon to look in and tell them which one was her own child. And she kept identifying Ipisoas, her own child, until that scar was removed. And on the last door, they had switched places, and she couldn't tell the difference between them. And so this is an important part of what Stsiskan, the sweat, is about. This is some of the many star people. These are the children that got left behind in the 7. This is the